discussing the challenges facing new Celta Vigo manager Oscar Garcia. And just before I had to interrupt him so rudely, Orlando, you were talking about Oscar, his character, and how you feel he'll be able to deal with this challenge, and that he wouldn't have taken the job if he didn't feel
Absolutely.
that Celta were savable, which I think we all believe, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about balance, about an unbalanced team with a lot of quality going forward, but maybe they're not aggressive enough in the defensive part of it. And Oscar's already looked at it in the first game at Barcelona, and he will be, coaching them, giving them ideas, tactically changing something into the team to make him improve that side of it. And obviously, I think in the January transfer window, the club will have to add something into the squad, especially at the back. And in the midfield, I think that they probably need a holding midfielder with a little bit more aggressive. Because if you look at the stats, we did together the game against Getafe. There was a point where Getafe had something like 10, 20 fouls, and they had one.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of stats, but that tells you that in the team there's something missing. So I'm sure that Oscar's been watching every single game of Celta this season.
Sure.
And when he took the job, he knew exactly where the problems were. And he will have now, time to work, a couple of weeks to work with them, especially in their minds, and try to clear out, all the problems so far. Obviously, the first game at Barcelona away is not an easy one, but surely,
They were impressive, though, weren't they?
Yeah,
For the first 15 minutes. I mean, we're talking about intensity. 15 minutes, Barca had a terrible time of things, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They suffered, actually. I mean, it was a risky game for Barcelona. But eventually it was at the Camp Nou, and with new ways that probably Oscar didn't have enough time to make the players believe they could do it, but it was interesting to see him doing there. I think it's a great, probably the best choice they had. And I know Oscar has been approached before by Celta 1 or 2 times, and he said no. For him, it's very important to do the pre-season for his way of playing. So he thought this was something important, but probably, for sure, he has seen something in that team that he can do, and I'm sure he's sure that he will be able to make them play the way he likes. That it's something that they are very excited in Vigo, because it's going back to that Barcelonization, if the word exists, or I invent, that they started with Mourinho, who is a very fan of Johan Cruyff, started since 2007. And I know they are very excited. The players probably, as Andrea knows better, they are like with expectation, but I'm sure Denis Suarez, let's see which role he has, Brais Mendes, Iago, they like to have the ball, they want to play with the ball, and Oscar for sure will give them that.
Players like him, I have to say, players like Oscar, and they like the first week of training. It's just players were a bit, we are difficult. And we always test the new, we always test the new coaches and how he trains and how he talks. And for example, if I'm a midfielder and I see the new coach go and speaks to the midfielder who's challenged me for a place in the team, I'm thinking, why is he talking to him? He's not talking to me. So, the first few weeks, it's a way of confrontation and a way to actually meet each other and know each other. So obviously, Oscar now has to use these days, especially without competition, to know the players better and the players to know Oscar better. And I think that, when that combination gels, I mean, they've got players, Celta. They've got something in the team to be in different positions. We all know that for sure.
I think they have an amazing squad. The only thing I don't see is that holding midfielder, strong defensive, that maybe they have it with Radoyan, that let him go. And I don't know, in Barcelona, I think it was Pape Cech in that role. They have, the Turkish player, but maybe if they have a budget to buy, they should go in that direction in the winter market.
One of the moves you can imagine him making, and there'll be people queuing, it's not the holding midfielder, but Alenya needs to be playing, and Barca need to trust where he goes. So it's an automatic idea, and Alenya, for all his lack of experience, isn't simply a player with quality. His aggressive will to win, his idea about what to do with the ball, how to get the ball, is a partial, I say a partial answer to the things that I see lacking there. The one thing that Oscar can't do is implant character, and there's a lack of character. There's a lack of character that undercut the good work that Miguel was doing when Aspas, why they couldn't see. that when Aspas was injured, too many players either lost heart or interest or hid, and players do that. That's not Celta alone. It's a universal problem. That needed, you know, a football doctor in to say, okay, how do we change that? And they haven't.
Well, I don't know. I don't know exactly the character of some of the boys that entered in the squad. I don't know Rafinha. I don't know Denis Suarez. I don't know Santi Mina. What I know is they are quite young, and I know also that there were some changes very strong in the group. Cabral lost the space and now he's out. He was not the captain, but he was also, when he was at the top, he was
Leader.
an important player in the team, because he was basically the unique leader that was there. Iago, he's an incredible, not only person, but player, but he leads by the example, and Hugo more than exactly by the leadership capacity. And Iago has, the presence of Iago has some psychological influence positive on the other ones, because they believe he can make, of course, a difference like he did last season. And let's just remember that after I left the club, Fran Escribá played 2 games and lost also without Iago. And when he returned in 1 week, he made 5 goals and 2 assists, and they got 7 points. So this was the turnover moment. But the question now is that we could introduce in terms of tactical, and I think for the new coach it will be key, is how to take out the best out of Iago. And this is football that we are speaking about. How? Because I think that Iago is missing a lot Maxi. Maxi is a player that plays, and we can see that now in Valencia, how he pushes the defenses back. Because Iago is not a number 9. He was not a number 9. He can never be the number 9 himself. He is a player that plays very well using the spaces that the other ones can open in the teams, and he's very clever on going from these spaces. And after that, he knows very well how to put the team to play. That gives also the capacity for Malho to appear in the front, coming from the back, for the game to change from inside to outside. And the best Iago is not only by the goals, but by the football he can produce, is what Celta needs now. The best combination in order to take out of him this football will be, I think, a very important task for Oscar to understand now. Another thing that, and I listened some of the declarations, some of the statements that Oscar had about the wingers, that he needs wingers. In this moment, he didn't have the wingers ready. I don't know, maybe Rafinha can give some depth, but I think that the problem that continues there in Celta is that the wingers that they have are not very deep players. If we think about Bryce, if we think about Dennis, Pione is a player that you never know what will come out of him, because, indeed, also which wingers will fit the way of playing of Oscar. If he will go for a classical 4-3-3 that he used recently in other clubs, which ones he will take in the team. This will be also a question, I believe, for him to solve, and probably to bring someone, let's see, in the market in January. So I also enjoyed what we saw in the game with Barca. I think that it will change completely. I don't believe he will continue to play this way. I think he put the team strategically just for this game, most of all in order to block the build-up from Barcelona and try to force some mistake and from that achieve a goal. Of course, that we saw a team aggressive in the pitch, high in the pitch, but it was a man-to-man marking. I don't believe also he will play in defense with man-to-man marking. He will play for sure in zonal defense. So I think that the Celta that we saw will be completely different, and the statistics that we got from one game, we'll have to analyze them when we'll have 10 games. I think that the way is open, a lot to do. The players will receive him very good. Of course that some of them will be happy and others won't, but this is always the hand of the coach. What these players need to understand is that they should not judge the coach. They have to judge themselves, because they are failing also, and a lot. These players are failing and failing a lot. It's not one time, it's already 4 or 5 times. And if they don't like one way, the other one, because they are committed with the coach, but what they can do more is the question. And the structure should also judge itself. What we can do more to help this coach. is this coach the man? So let's show the players that this guy is in charge until the end, whatever happens. Don't give any doubt around this man, or he will fail like the others that preceded him.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't give any excuses to
Don't
the
give any
players as well.
excuses.
Yeah, that's important.
Yes, just make everybody together.
And when you say about the wingers, I mean, Rafinha is someone who comes inside. Denis Suarez is someone who comes inside. Bryce Mendes the same.
Exactly.
And I played for Oscar, and he likes wingers to be wide open, to give that width and depth. So probably the only one is Pione Sisto. But Pione was out of the plan, so we don't know exactly where he is at the moment. He started against Barcelona.
That was his first start of the whole season.
In these are hypotheses, and Simon, I know you cut me off when it's probably or I've talked too much, but in these hypothetical circumstances, let's say it goes to 4-3-3, which is his most natural, and you look at the squad, you also have to say, well, who fits where? So, in the 4-3-3, who's ostensibly the 9? Santimina?
And another question.
So Iago Aspas is playing wide in a 4-3-3.
He can play on the right, coming inside. But this is also a matter not only of structure, but of principles. Do you want a 4-3-3, but you want your wingers to come to use inside spaces in the back of the midfielder's line of the opponent? Okay, in this way you will have to give depth to the team by the fullbacks. Yeah. Who can do it? Olaza, I don't believe so. Junca also, he don't have 1-against-1. He don't have Desborde. So what will happen is that they will cross. But before they had Maxi to score by head. Iago will not make goals by head.
Mina can.
Mina can, but if
Iago
he plays with one, okay, Mina one, Iago on the right. So let's see what we'll see.
Toro, he can score with his head, can't he?
He can. My real question, because what we're into now is about, does a coach say, and this is eternal, look at the material he's got, particularly before the market, and say, it's my way, you're adapting to me? Or does a coach, Oscar in this case, adapt to what he sees? And the guys have made it really clear that natural width that Oscar would like to make a 4-3-3 function properly isn't there. It isn't even balanced with the fullbacks pushing on. And if the fullbacks push high, you talked about what can they do. Well, what does that leave in a Celta side, which is already slow to cover, slow to recuperate, poor at winning the ball? They have huge amounts of problems. So one of the things, and particularly Miguel said, what does Oscar get out of Iago? And I think maybe we could imagine the Iago we saw last year, which wasn't complete liberty in where he played, but it was close to it, and he was playing off Maxi where he thought it was best. And it was one of the greatest boys' own rescue stories we've ever seen in our lives. It shouldn't have happened. But that situation isn't going to be offered to Iago now. So only hypothetically is the question, does Oscar say to Iago, like, I do need your goals and you will have liberty, but if we're playing 4-3-3, I ask you not only to play wide, but to go beyond, to stretch this way and that way, which is a difficult question to know if it's right or wrong.
This is a key point, very interesting. I was thinking exactly the same. It's not a matter only of having wingers, it's what kind of wingers you have. Because you have wingers that want you to put the ball on their foot, and you have wingers that also can ask the ball in the front. And from the players I know that are there, except Rafinha, that I don't know, probably, or maybe, the other ones will ask the ball on the foot. And in some games in this league, if you don't have people that ask the ball in the front, or if you don't have a striker at least that always makes these movements that we saw, for example, Benzema doing that in Alaves, in Eibar, that we saw Maxi doing in Valencia, that we saw, well, this kind of movements that always stretch the lines, teams, that push the defense back and allow you to breathe when you go to play Alaves, Eibar, Getafe, Granada. Oh, you have problems, a lot of problems, because it's not only what you can play, it's also what the other ones will not let you play. And how you can manage the game in order to create the spaces to play. And also I was thinking that Pione, he plays on the left, on the right, with his strongest foot, he don't play because he don't want and he don't like. So he will play on the left, coming inside also.
Instead of going out or going long.
But it's a good question you put it. It's up to the coach to understand that in this moment, what is better for him, what he can find, and who can give him an answer. So that he can arrive at a different moment and probably change something in the team.
Basically, what you're telling us, Miguel, is that it's a tough life being a manager, especially coming in without having, as Gemma pointed out, that all-important pre-season with the squad. We've come to the end of this block of today's Viva La Liga. We're going to take a very short break, and when we return, we're going to be having a look at Atletico Madrid's number 9.